on the subject of luck,
Yes.
I so this is where I was going to get into, like, I was going to make a video on this subject because I've
Okay.
talked to basically millionaires and full blown movers and shakers, like
Right.
players of the game,
Hmm.
the great game. Uh, uh, and I also have been watching YouTube videos of people that are what you might call like business influencers, or people that make courses on how to do certain things. And there's a ton of famous ones. There's like guys that talk about investing and finance, and then people talk about real estate, or all these people that sort
Right.
of built these little empires, and they have great advice, and they talk about uh, basically
Yeah.
coming from nothing, buying a house, doing all this kind of
Right.
stuff. And I've been watching these kind of people, and I've actually become friends with certain people that are
Okay.
in that sphere, so in a way.
Cool. Cool.
Okay. And you think that, and a lot of them will say, you know, success comes when preparation meets luck.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
there's a
Right.
lot of truth to that.
Right.
But what I have discovered is that there is a element of forcing the luck,
Okay.
and that there is, and that's unethical. And
Okay.
that's what makes me see like the entire world
Interesting.
totally different. And it makes me why I want to stick with comics and keep them innocent,
Right.
because
Right.
I've seen the other side of everything else, and it's
Ah.
especially with everything on the internet and internet sales.
Hmm.
Uh, it like what I discovered is that everybody uh there you can basically, you think now like, oh, I have a great idea.
Right.
And you tell somebody that great idea, and someone gives you money to like invest for you to
Right.
build that idea. It's
Right.
very hard. In the movie world, that's basically what's happening though, is you
Gotcha.
go, I
Hmm.
have this idea, and you build a team, you get the
Gotcha.
directors, you get the screenplay, my
Hmm.
idea, and then like you say, this is how much it cost to build this thing,
Okay.
and then someone invests in it. And uh but what's on the other end of that is like the secret that no one tells you, which is that everybody is making money off of money that doesn't exist,
Right.
and they are using that as their real leverage. Like your
Okay.
idea is just and this doesn't isn't just movies or comics.
Right.
It's almost everything that's out there.
Okay.
Uh and that's where I say like forcing the luck, because
Hmm.
what people will know is it's sort of like there. So here's where let me use like the example of music.
Okay.
uh to me that's a bit easier, because it's like the product is a simple thing. It's a
Right.
3 minute song, and let's
Gotcha.
say music video or
Okay.
whatever. Okay.
Hmm.
So you think, how do you blow up as a musician?
Hmm.
Well, the secret on the other end is, uh if you have a good song, and that's what producers are actually trying to do. They're trying to
Correct.
find talent, or they're trying to actually find a good song.
Hmm.
Uh, because when you have that good thing, and as long as like the performer is actually able to perform that product, and it's
Right.
not completely a fraud,
Right.
you now have something to present. And then all they do is basically that they take somebody else that already has the actual influence, credibility, audience, and they
Hmm.
will buy that person.
Gotcha.
And they will basically say, if you like, I have this great product,
Hmm.
hype this thing, and
Right.
I will give you 40%.
Wow.
And then that person will say, I will take that thing, I will hype it, and I will tell everyone I know that
Right.
they will get 40% of my cut every
Okay.
time they hype it. And it's a pyramid scheme.
Right. I was just gonna say that.
And it's
Yeah.
like just everybody's taking a cut
Right.
to it's like referrals.
Right.
It's the same thing you see on the internet, where everybody is
Hmm.
basically, they are promoting a code where you use my code, you get
Right.
10% off.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
all it is. That's a whole behind the scenes.
Really cool. I like that,
Is
Max. Yeah.
that's like
Mhm.
and if you watch everybody that blows really big up, that's
Right.
all that's happening is they get the
Right.
backing of someone that has the audience and the
Right.
money to
Hmm.
where like if you think about, well, what is the best audience? Like entertainment is easy,
Hmm.
or not easy, but like
Yeah.
music, we all love music. It's just like
Right.
food. It's like it's
Correct.
one of those things that's sort of where we were getting can get into, but there's
Yeah.
so much of it. Well, what guides me to your
Right.
cheeseburger or
Right.
your
Right. Right.
movie?
Correct. Right.
Well, they have to put it in front of you.
Hmm.
Somebody pays to put it in front of you. Now,
Hmm.
word of mouth is a real thing that still needs to happen, and
Right.
it still does. But whenever it comes to a lot of this, the success of these things and how much of it is really luck, I have learned that there are elements of it in that are sort of unethical and sneaky, or
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that are not um, genuine.
Yeah. Yes.
But that
Right.
doesn't, not to take away that
Hmm.
you can still go through those methods and still have a great product. You can still have
Right.
a great movie, a great book
Right.
that is hyped in that way.
Hmm.
Um, and that is how like real phenomenons, like real big
Yeah.
things, that is how they grow because
Yeah.
they do grow organically.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
only so far that paid,
Right.
stuff can actually work.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
influencers don't matter that much. Like
Right. Right.
they do
Hmm.
move the needle a lot, but
Right.
they don't actually. I want to say like the way one of these guys explained it to me is uh all that like they're really doing is basically saying they're looking out for if you're a creator, a comic
Right.
creator, uh,
Hmm.
uh if you can go and scale your own audience from
Right.
1 to 100,
Right.
uh the big producers then ask one of the lower level producers, be like,
Hmm.
see if you can scale it from 100 to 1,000.
Right.
Or that publisher that they have a relationship, and be like, if that
Hmm.
publisher can then scale it from 1,000 to 10,000,
Hmm.
that's when it's the same as like series A, B, and C of
Right.
investors in companies. It's like
Hmm.
the final like the C investors or
Right.
whatever, like those are the guys that make a lot of money because they saw that the series A and series B. It's like the
Right.
same with comics where it's like, well, this guy, he built his audience up to 1,000 people
Right.
all on his own. And
Hmm.
1,000 creators like soul is like that guy has a career made. Same thing with
Right.
music.
Right.
You have,
True.
10,000
True.
people that just listen to all your albums. That's all you need.
Right.
Um, but that's what happens is there's another level up that goes, well, if this guy could scale it to 1,000 on
Right.
his own, I can scale it up to 10,000 and make
10,000. Yeah.
money from over that next magnitude
Gotcha.
up. And
Gotcha.
then he then sells his rights to the next guy that says, we want to scale it up from 10,000 to 100,
Right.
100 to a million or whatever.
Right.
And
Right.
everybody's just riding that wave and selling
Correct.
out. That's
Right.
why you're seeing things like Boom
Correct.
Studios is now
Right.
selling to Penguin,
Right.
because
Correct.
those guys leveled themselves from a hundred
Yeah.
thousand to a million.
That's
And
right. Right.
now
That's right, man.
some of the
Hmm.
big dogs go, well, we're going to scale it from a million to 100 million.
Right.
And
Right.
and that's the thing is like indie comics is uh that's all we're doing is we're
Hmm.
starting at one. And in indie, like what I'm trying to do is like just get ourselves to 100 core followers,
Right.
and then
Right.
the publishers can scale it up to a
Right.
thousand. The mainstreams can scale it up a bit bigger, and but ultimately that's like the path you're going down. But you
Yep.
don't have to keep leveling up. It's the
Correct.
same with music. You can
Hmm.
stay as just touring with your music and
Right.
making your albums and
Right.
making a living just fine without being on a big
Correct.
record label.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So that's what's interesting
Yeah.
about that. Like the
Very
luck
interesting.
thing is, I think, uh, and I talk about it in my books, is like it's an illusion how much luck is really a factor, and how
Hmm.
money should actually replace the word with luck.
Hmm.
And how, but on a small scale, it really is just word of mouth is like your
Yeah.
luck. And
There you
and
go.
I
Right.
don't
There you
think
go. Well put. Yeah.
that there is some element of, you don't know what is going to be the new word of mouth trend.
Right.
So
Correct. That's it. Hmm.
but there
Yep.
are ways to uh to sort of scale it in a way. And that's like what I teach my book is like it's like you still have to get it out in front of people.
Right.
And that's actually a key thing with like the non-unethical aspect of it, but just understanding that when it comes to word of mouth, as I sort of like with everything else, it's a pyramid structure to where it's not you get a bunch of people telling all their friends. You really just get one person that everybody likes.
Right.
Or like it's the cool kid popularity factor.
Right.
No one cares if Billy Smith says your book's good, but if the hottest queen says your book is good, now all of a sudden everybody else cares.
Yep.
So in that sense, influencers do play a huge role.
Yeah.
And that's where politics and money get involved. Because then it can be like, well, what if I, just sneak my book in front of the homecoming queen?
Right.
Or, and things like that to where it is, and that's a movie on itself. It's just like, that is what everything is people trying to, and in fact, like, didn't the entire plot of Hustle and Flow it was him to get the tape in front of that rapper.
Of course, yeah.
Like that's it's like that's unfortunately that is sort of a big factor in all this. Is like it's just does the cool group think I'm cool?
Right. And listen, maybe these amazing movies that are icons, these movies that are masterpieces, for example, maybe that's how they made The Light of Day. Maybe it was through that. And maybe the real big masterpieces never did, because unfortunately they didn't have, they weren't in the system, so to speak, right? And but that's what makes art so amazing, whether it's art or music, everything's subjective, right? So,
I do think in the positive aspect of it all is great art does rise eventually. Like it does get discovered in the way that it should, even if it doesn't go through the route of being funneled the fast track.
Correct.
Yeah, I think and I still do, like when you read or watch something that's like to this day just still amazing and still like just holds up as great art, great literature or whatever. You just can't take that away from that team or that person.
No. Very true.
And you can't say that they only were big because of
because they knew an influence or something, right? Yeah, like one
especially
of my favorite
like
books.
people that didn't get big until they died, like H.P. Lovecraft.
No, absolutely. Like one of my favorite books is Don Quixote, right? Cervantes, and man, it's when that was taken out, how did it get to us here? Well, it got here because it's a very magical book, and it's a book that's it really changed a lot in literature. And so you're right. I think good art will go through all of that and go through time.
Party people, are we ready? 3, 2, 1.
Like this.